Hey everyone, welcome to HiFi Mafia. Today we're here again and we're going to be talking about some news. We have Giles from Giles McCoy.
What's up, folks?
We have Howard Neller from The Listening Chair.
Hello.
And we have my boy, Ray from HiFi Turf.
What's up, everyone?
Dude, are you wearing a towel?
No, I'm wearing a blanket. It's not in my
Oh.
bed. I'm cold.
Okay.
My house is like at 66 degrees right now.
He's on the comfy stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still professional though.
Man, I would have worn my onesie, my bunny onesie, if I'd known we were going comfy.
I don't have one of those. I need to get one.
Oh, it's so nice.
I know.
There's different ones you can pick from. One's like a blanket that cut you go inside, and then you have the characters and stuff. It's hard to pick one or the other.
Yeah, I'll get a black one.
Yeah, mine's a character. It's got the full zipper and the whole deal, then put on the top and ears, and it's awesome.
It's a good Facebook profile picture.
All right, Dan, what we got going on today?
All right, so we have some news. We're going to start with Giles. Giles, give us what you got, and then we're going to go to Howard.
You put me on the spot. I was going to totally. All right, well, let's cover off a few things here.
Yeah. Let's do the preliminaries, man.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed is that Rune has released a new nucleus core, right? And it's I think it's $499 for their new core, and I'm just curious what you guys think about these branded nucleus cores to run Rune server. In the past they were in the thousands range, and this is much less expensive at 500. And then if you look around at other companies doing this kind of thing, they'll be like, oh, ours is $8,000, ours is $15,000. I'm curious, is it news that we have one at $499 when we could just run it on your computer? Is this like a thing?
Look, I don't use Rune, so I don't really know what it does. So what is the benefit of using Rune?
All right, hold on. I wrote a big article on this. So Rune is basically it's an integrator, and it's a uniform search engine. So basically, it takes your music from your various streaming services, and it integrates those. So if you sign up with Tidal and Qobuz, it'll take all that music, okay? Or just Qobuz, or just Tidal, or just Spotify. I think they're doing Spotify. And then if you have a hard drive or hard drives with music, it'll take all those sources and it'll integrate those together. So when you do a search, you're going to see all your music come up, and it won't even tell you unless you click on it where that music's coming from. And you can customize it, say, I want it first to come from the hard drive and then from Tidal or Qobuz. So you'll get a unified search, they call it. And then the second thing that it does is it populates the music with its own metadata, which is pretty cool. So it actually not only takes the metadata from your music, but it adds its own metadata. So when you look at it on your laptop or on your iPad or your phone, it has everything you want about the artists, and it's really cool. Like if you say to it, I want to see every artist who's done, this particular song, and there's 86 artists, it'll pull it up. There's so many different things. If you want to see a performance, all the performances in Carnegie Hall that Ella Fitzgerald did, it'll pull it up. It's so powerful. It does so many things. So it really makes your music searching seamless. That's kind of what it does.
That is half of it for me, but the other half for me is just as important. So not only does it aggregate on the search and content side, but it also aggregates on the playback side and the device side. So this from my point of view is a tool that is glue for all of your sources and all of your playback devices with single pane of glass management. So I can take my phone and I can sit down in my office and I can say, play, like you said, Ella Fitzgerald in my office setup, and it'll play it. If I go upstairs, I can sit down with the same phone and say, play John Bon Jovi on my living room setup, and it'll play it there, right? So not only does it do all of the search and understanding of your music sources and being able to deal with that, but it also lets you push this out to any of your different equipment sets, right? And that's really cool. And then you can also do party mode and stuff and do music through your whole house. So it's kind of like Sonos features as well. It's super duper cool.
Nice. I'll have to do it.
Yeah. So and I listen. That's pretty much the only way I listen to music nowadays.
Does it connect to your streamers?
If they're Rune certified.
Yeah.
Oh, they're Rune certified. All right.
Yeah.
And
There's Rune Ready. There's Rune Ready, where the manufacturer has done a collaboration with Rune, and Rune software is integrated into the server or other component. And there's Rune Tested, where it's been tested to work, although it might not have all the features. So there's all of that stuff. I mean, to me, I've done a lot of work with Rune and to find out what sounds better. And I think Giles is correct that there's a lot of companies who are selling expensive cores. You know, I haven't used Rune probably in about 6 months, only because my main system is down and I have a Rune core and I haven't bothered to set it up in one of my other systems yet. But when my room is ready, my Rune core is going to be, set up again. I mean, I haven't looked at this new product. I heard about it, but first of all, as far as performance goes, I know a guy, and I was looking into this very, very much way back when. I know a guy who was tested all kinds of Rune cores, and you can put them into your computer. It's recommended not to do that because your computer is using resources to do all different type of things. You really want a dedicated core. The core is like the brain of what Rune does. And I know a guy who looked into it, and he came to the conclusion that Rune's own core sounded best. Now, there are guys who are saying it's underpowered, it's this, it's that. This guy was pretty bright and did a pretty extensive analysis. The key, though, is the power supply. It takes an independent power supply. It comes with a wall wart power supply. I don't know what they're asking for it these days, maybe $2,000 or something like that. Now you have the less expensive one. So you could spend ungodly amounts of money on the power supply. I have like a $2,000 power supply on mine. There are companies selling, it's not so much the core, it's the power supply. And there are companies selling $7,000, $10,000, $12,000 power supplies. And power supplies matter when it comes to things like this. One question I had about the new product is that I was reaching the point with all the music that I have on drives that I was reaching the limit where it would start to slow up in doing searches. And I was pretty much told if I would add more, I think I had I forget how many terabytes I had, but if I added more
terabytes of music,
yeah,
jeez,
it would be, maybe I have 10 or 12 terabytes. Not all of it is hooked up to Rune, but I was
some
told
SSDs.
What's that?
You need some SSDs.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works with hard drivers or SSDs.
I also know a guy who swears, a very smart guy also, who swears that solid state drives don't sound as good as the other drives.
Really?
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I'll give a contrarian view on those items. I don't see how a power supply could impact the sound any which way on how a core or any other device when it's remote like that. If it's power into a device that's actually amplifying, sure, you can have dirty stuff, that kind of thing. But even especially if you transmit over Wi-Fi, because then there's no electrical path. So I don't know. I want somebody to explain that to me, because I've listened to $13,000-$20,000 power supplies versus cheap ones in this kind of scenario, and I can't hear it. I wish I could, but I can't.
Total disagree. Let me just give you an example. Last weekend, a friend of mine, I saw a little component, and so he was moving his gear out of the rack, and he said, "Hey," I said, "You really, while you're doing that, you should upgrade your power cords." And he's like, I don't know. So he eventually came around and he said, "What about the turntable?" And I said, "Yep, you got to upgrade that turntable." And he said, "How is that going to improve the sound? It's just spinning this record around." And I said, "Listen, we don't know how it works, but we know that it works." So I said, "Call this dealer, friend of mine, see if you can get this power cords from him." He bought the power cords. He talked to the guy and he said, "What about the turntable?" And the guy said to him the exact same thing I said. "We don't know how it works, but it does." He got it. He put the power cord on the turntable, and sure enough, his sound improved. And he sent me like an emoji of a tit tat. So whatever. So anyway, but getting back to Rune. So I just wonder how powerful this $499 model is. I'm definitely going to check it out after the show today. and see. I know I was kind of reaching the limits of before it would start to slow up. I had so much music, downloaded music attached to it. But I think that if, frankly, if it's good, it'll be killer, because there's a lot of people who want, an easy solution to Rune, and they don't want to spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah, I like it. Since it's not dependent on Windows, it's running on Linux. I think it's maybe a slightly more stable platform. So I'm excited for that. So anyway, for folks that are looking for a new Rune server that don't want to run the software on their PC or their laptop, and they don't want to spend a ton of money on something else, maybe a good option to look at. The other item I wanted to bring up is HSU has released their new flagship VTF TN115 subwoofer. So it's a 15-inch, I believe, ported subwoofer. And these guys are really big in the home theater world. And they are considered to be typically at the forefront of kind of the price performance curve for this kind of equipment. And that made a bunch of splashes in home theater world.
I just learned something.
Let's look at some of the comments.
HSU. Who knew? HSU.
HSU, yeah.
HSU, HSU.
Oh, I haven't heard about them yet.
Oh, they're in home theater
quite
world.
popular.
They're really
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
They're very popular.
You don't hear much about them in two-channel world, and they don't come to shows and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's probably why.
And they just make subwoofers.
You don't even hear much about them, period. Just the people in the know about them.
They don't do a lot of advertising and stuff like that. Yeah,
or like the rhythmic stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at some of the comments.
Sure.
So
let's go through. And so Facebook user says, "Hey all."
Hello, Facebook user. That might be Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not sure.
It could be. And Middle Earth says, "I use a FIO that uses Rune Ready. Interesting explanation." And another "Hey y'all" from a Facebook user.
Hey.
And then Facebook user says, "I have a hard time finding out if it's actual improvement or just confirmation bias." Yeah, there's a lot of both of those that go on. And then another point of view: everything matters. Everything
100%.
is additive to the process. And then I could swear that the sound has improved in terms of clarity, soundstage width, and tighter imaging when I upgraded some cables like RCA and speaker cables, but I have tried power cables with no avail. Right on. And
Power cords work.
And then, are you using the Waxwing phono stage? I am not using a Waxwing phono stage, and I don't think I've ever heard of a Waxwing.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Waxwing either.
Yeah, I heard of the HiFI phono. I'm pretty excited to be getting that soon. So,
all right, that's gonna be pretty sweet. That's a good piece.
I'm really excited. Everybody has been raving about it, and people are saying they beat $5,000 phono preamps. So we'll see.
Well, if I can do a little promotion, we're going to be giving away. Actually, we have a phono stage contest. We'll be giving away a VPI phono stage. So everybody, check out the group, the listening share with Howard Neller, and you get a chance to win a phono stage.
Very nice.
Nice.
Oh, they say happy Sunday, gentlemen. Thank you.
We have a hello, Howard.
That must be my mom.
Whoever this is, he or she says, and it has a micro tube Class A buffer stage.
Nice.
What is a
buffer stage? All you need in the living room.
This is the olden days. This is a throwback to when we first moved into the house. One of the first things that went up was the focals. I had the Cantas ready to go before we bought the house. These were chilling in a family member's kitchen. It wasn't even my parents' house because they were like, "We're not storing them here." It was someone else in our family was like, "You can put those in my kitchen. It's all right." So I had the Cantas there for a long time, and then when we finally moved in, they were one of the first things that went in. And this is the humble beginning, so you can see the
my boy got his priorities right.
Yeah,
those are badass looking, man.
I honestly miss them. I don't know if I should have made the right choice installing them.
Really?
I miss them.
You're gonna sell the Sopras or no?
Those are actually, so ironically, like I said, these were in the family member's kitchen. The Sopras are currently in my kitchen. So they're a
systems.
They're a piece. They're a kitchen appliance right now, essentially.
That's funny. I do so much content creation in my kitchen. It's kind of funny. It's always in the kitchen. kitchen. All right. So who's got more news?
Dan, make your bed. Come on, guys, it's made, right? Look,
that's a four.
and I stole
much better last time, man. Yeah, that's a good comment.
I use a background next time, so stop getting roasted.
He was making some adjustments in the green room, like just prior to the stream going live.
All right,
Yeah.
so I got some news unless you guys want to bring up something.
All you, Howard.
Yeah, it's all you.
Right, well, I was looking this week, and I guess Clips has partnered with Marvel Animation. That the Clips speaker is the official speaker of a new series with X-Men 97. And I think that 97 is, I'm not really huge into these superhero type of things, but I think 90, and Dan, maybe you are, I don't know, but 97 is supposed to signify it's like a throwback to the old school,
Probably, yeah. I'm not into
guys
Marvel
from like
stuff.
the 90s and I guess the big takeaway that because I was talking to Clip's unbelievable PR person, to Sue Toscano, this morning, and she was saying the big takeaway is that there's going to be some sweepstakes coming up. So maybe she didn't go into detail, but who knows? Maybe someone out there is going to win some Clip speakers. So that'll be really cool. But let me present here. So let me.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, just to talk a little bit about X-Men 97. So I'm currently watching through that, and it's a new series, but it is in the style of the cartoon from the 90s, and it reuses the music. Well, a new retake on the music. So it's very nostalgic for people who watched it during that time frame. But it's all mutants, right? So, and that is a huge departure for the most part for the MCU, because they really didn't have a lot of mutant stuff because Sony had the license for all of the X-Men and the big characters. But this year is a shifting point, right? Because we're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine in the MCU, and that's a huge change. And it, I think, is a really good shakeup because things in the MCU have struggled a bit lately. But I think that's going to help get things back on track because those are the popular characters. Up to this point, the MCU has not featured the most popular characters from the Marvel universe. They have featured the ones that were what I would call maybe A- characters, like Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, those kind of. Those are like A-.
Iron Man A-.
Iron Man is for sure an A- in the Marvel universe.
No, he's an ass class. Not.
But once you get into the big boys, right? Charles Xavier and Wolverine and all that, those are the A's and A pluses. So it's exciting.
Cool.
For sure.
Hey, Charles, what do I do? So I go into share screen or I go into slides or video file? Do you remember which one?
Share screen. Yeah, so you open up whatever you want to show, and it'll be open in a window. So you'll share a screen, and then you'll be able to choose a window, and then it'll show a list of the windows that are available, and then you select the one that you want.
Well, they're not like online. They're photos I have in a file.
Yeah, you have to open the photo.
Yeah, it'll let you show your file or your phone, like your photo app.
So just double click on the photo, and it'll open up in a photo viewer on your computer, and then you share that photo viewer.
Let me see. Settings. Okay, hold on, folks. Mirror.
And then to comment on the clip stuff, I've talked with Sue, and by the way, Sue is awesome. So if anybody doesn't know Sue, she's one of the best out there. But I was hoping that they would actually take those clip speakers and put like a Marvel badge or something like that, or a paint job for them. I don't know that they're going to do that.
Okay, can you guys see that?
You're sharing a screen of us.
Okay, so let me just go in here and let's see. So I guess it's the first thing here we go was.
Here we go. All
X-Men.
right, there we go. Gotcha.
Got that? Great. So that was X-Men, and then the other thing I saw was that let me just find the. Okay. So Massimo, who recently bought Sound United, and Sound United has a lot of brands. You can see that Denon, Polk, Bowers and Wilkins, Marantz, etc. Classe, Definitive Technology. They're spinning that off now because it's been a drag on their earnings. The healthcare is a more profitable, or they have wider margins on their for those products. So they're spinning that back out, and that'll be something that they're still going to own it, but it'll be a separate company. So that's just
is it going to be Sound United as an independent entity?
It'll be Massimo Consumer, right?
Yeah.
Massimo Consumer. Okay,
but it will be a separate company rather than to be a division.
It'll be like a wholly owned subsidiary or something like that.
Right. So that
would be interesting. It's still going to be publicly traded then?
I don't know what they're doing, if they're going to do an IPO, or I didn't read about that. I'm not sure, but that's just I'm not sure that it's going to really affect so much immediately or if at all on the Sound United front. It's just more of I just think they're trying to pump up the share price of the healthcare side of the business, because the audio side of the business is dragging things down. So
yeah, I did a video about the kind of the acquisition and why Massimo did it and how it's kind of affected Massimo as a business as a whole.
And what was the upshot there?
The upshot there was that I think they made a mistake. Or did it? It just hasn't panned out the way that they were initially really thought it was going to, and we haven't seen too much from the partnership as far as like cross collaboration. Probably the most cross collaboration we've seen is the integration of HEOS into some of their health products. But beyond being able to have your Denon HEOS give you your current like pulse oximeter reading, there's not much else going on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you're right. In retrospect, they might not have done that acquisition.
Do you know if they really work through any of like back-end integration for cost efficiencies on production? Like, are they producing Denon and Marantz now on the same lines and that kind of stuff? Did any of that ever happen?
I'm not sure that it's, from what I read is that they were having problems integrating the two companies. I think probably whatever operational efficiencies they got, on the Sound United side probably happened already. It was just they were having trouble. There was all kind of thoughts, we're going to integrate all this audio stuff into the health stuff, and it just never really happened.
It was somewhat leveraging their supply chains and their relationships with those retailers as well to really push on their consumer health side. Because the majority of their revenue comes from the pulse oximetry that you get in hospitals. So, if you've ever been in a hospital or seen anybody in a hospital and they have that, that thing they put on their finger and it's got the red light coming out of it, that's the Massimo products. So that's what they have the patent and everything on. So the idea was that they were going to have their smartwatch, which also had some of their light-based pulse oximetry built in as well. That was also the contention with the Brookline Heroes saying, with their lawsuit against Apple, is that Apple had stolen some of their patents for that light-based pulse oximetry model. But it was more so on the acquisition side, leveraging the relationships for retail and the supply chains, the distribution, things of that nature to bolster their healthcare side. And that was something I talked to my video as well, as I haven't seen that really materialize both in their earnings statements and also just from publicly available information that you can find on like Amazon as far as how many of units have been sold in the last like 30 days or something like that.
Yep, absolutely. So then another thing I was seeing was actually kind of cool, was with Cambridge Audio, and they announced this week that, I think it was this week, that they have now put VU meters onto their Evo line of components. So that's kind of cool.
Didn't they had a collaboration with DMC as well, the DeLorean company?
Yes, so that would be right here. There's a DeLorean edition.
Mm-hmm. Nice,
right there.
I think it's nice.
That's pretty badass. Yeah.
Especially with the logo back there, it's so cool.
Yeah, you got that little stripe in the back there on the chassis top. Very classy looking component. And you got the DMC logo. Is that what you just mentioned? Yeah. So that's really, really cool. I think you could do a VU meter, or it could do a album media art. So if I have my choice, I'm putting the VU meters up there and not the album art.
Same here.
And the album art also you could have on your iPad or whatever you want. So, VU meters are really cool. Occasionally I do some writing for the Audio Classics newsletter. They have a really big following, a subscriber base. And I wrote this whole article on how VU meters evolved and the difference between VU meters and other kind of meters. And it's, if anybody's interested, shoot me a message and I'll send you a link to that. I think it's a pretty cool article. But anyway, so that's what, and again, there's the regular Evo. The cool thing about the Evo that I love, because I reviewed one of the Evo 150, I think it was, is that these side panels come off, and depending on the decor of your house, they're magnetized, and you can either have like a really ultra modern one with kind of a wave that goes through it, or you can have this old English wood accent. So I think that's real cool.
That's really cool.
The CD player on the bottom. That's really cool also.
Yeah.
So that's, I think,
audio's catching up.
Yeah, man.
Coming up with new cool ideas. This is cool to see, to be honest.
It's cool stuff, man, and it sounds great. It really does. So that's what's going on with Evo. And then there was, just wanted to mention, so somebody, because in the listening group listening chef Facebook group, people are always talking about chairs, and usually I don't like the chairs. Erm's chairs are very, very good. They're not perhaps the best for sound quality due to their height or lack of height. Someone posted this morning. It's I'm looking for it right now. It's Palliser Keone, and it's kind of cool, man. It's a motorized chair, so if you want to kind of recline back, the headpiece comes up, and the whole chair reclines back. So that's pretty cool. Somebody was criticizing this chair based on its sonic footprint. Well, I mean, if it's hard leather, that could be noisy in a room. If it's soft leather, that could add warmth to the room. And sometimes even a chair like this could even help with the lower frequencies. It could even help with audio system performance. So it's depending on where it's situated. So it's really it really all depends. But I thought this was a pretty cool option.
Yeah, I like that design quite a bit. Even in home theater world, I like that kind of design because that some folks want to be able to not have something behind their head all the time, right? Personally, for me though, if I'm going to watch a movie, if I don't have head support, I'm in the wrong room, right? I got to have it. But this kind of gives you best of both worlds, right? Because so you can sit down and your shoulders are kind of at the top level, right? And then if you want to, like you said, you hit the button and that back part pops up, and then you can lean back. So I think this is a sweet design.
It's a nice looking chair. It's pretty badass. I think it's about $2,000, and I like the little silver or chrome feet on there. It's a nice looking chair, man. I'm gonna try to find out if it comes in cloth and leather, but this is definitely.
Yeah, I prefer cloth, to be honest. I think leather is not my thing.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with the room. So again, I'm building a listening room, and so follow the progress on our videos and in our Facebook group. The other thing I saw was going on was with Parasound. For those of you guys who know, and let me see if I got a graphic here. Let's see. So for those, this is actually a photo. What is this? This is a photo of, see this little U-shaped building here? That is actually Parasound's headquarters right there. They've moved now to Las Vegas. But what's really going on here is that, Richard Schramm was one of the movers, really, of driving forces behind Parasound. Very, very well-respected company, with Sean Curl, the analog circuit designer. And when Richard retired for personal reasons, and also another key person there, Tony, a technician, when he retired also, the company kind of fell through. I don't know if hard times might be a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but it kind of lost a little momentum. So the company has now just done a reorganization of operations. Let's see. And we have a new person who's come in, and David Sheriff, and they've moved the company to Las Vegas. They've streamlined operations. They've cut a lot of costs, and they've been putting out a lot of signals that super, super big news is coming out soon. So that's the new CEO of Parasound up there. And so I guess we'll be reporting some exciting news here that's coming from that company.
For sure. I think Ray has some news as well.
Yeah, I've got two big speaker announcements that came out this week. We have the newest from Magico that's going to be coming out soon. I believe it's a April 4th launch, if I'm not mistaken. It's the first week of April. It's the Magico S5. It's a update from the 2023 S3. You know, the evolution from the remainder of the S models. So there's the S5, the S7, the S3, the S1 as well. We saw the S3's latest rendition last year, and now the new S5 is going to make its debut with some larger base drivers and just
how much monies do you think?
I mean, it's not disclosed quite yet. What's the current S5 go for?
56, 50,
58 maybe.
58.
So update probably looking to push into the 60s. I'm guessing
60 grand, my people.
And I think that makes sense considering like you're going to jump from that to probably like an M2 or an M3, and the M2 is pushing 90 grand now, so that puts it in a nice pricing category as far as Magico goes.
Grab it while you can with inflation. So
sure.
Most definitely. I think we've definitely seen that. Is that if you can afford it, it's best to buy it in the first year it comes out.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for Magico, but it is what it is.
I'm hoping to see it at Axpona, given the release date. I'm guessing that they're going to have it there because the 2023 S3's debut was at Axpona, I believe. So
probably, and it's
have the
biggest show in America. So.
2024 S5 going to be at Axpona as well. So hopefully, we'll see what Magico brings with that.
Yeah. And the other thing I saw out there was, and this is again more towards consumer tech rather than hardcore audiophile stuff, but Walmart has acquired Vizio for $2.3 billion. I mean, that company Vizio it's been around for a while.
People like their soundbars.
It came out. What's that?
People like soundbars for some reason.
Well, TVs too. TVs are really where they're.
Their TVs are amazing and good.
They really are. And interestingly enough, Walmart supposedly wasn't really interested in the TVs per se, but what Vizio has is this smartphone connecting SmartCast, software where people can stream ad-supported video. And so Walmart makes a lot of money through their own software, and supposedly they want to integrate this into their Walmart software because that's where the money is right now in ad-supported streaming. So that's what Walmart wanted from Vizio. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have a little bit of news. SVS is releasing their new Ultra Evolution series in 2 days, so be excited for that. A lot of people
I'm really looking forward to those.
That's the one that was at CES, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and I might be getting a pair.
They sound great. Yeah, Nick, we're all waiting. Send them over.
Well,
Nick.
Look, man, we did that SVS live stream at HiFI Mafia, and what struck me was that the way that the companies, consumers, they love SVS with a passion that, is rare for companies. I mean, we got so many comments. They love the company, they love the product, and they love the customer service. So that was just really incredible.
Yeah, SVS is a killer in all checks. They're great customer service. They're great with their marketing. They're always in every show. So I think SVS is a great example for other companies to look up to because they work with every creator. So like their products are everywhere. You can find them at Best Buy, Amazon. So I think SVS are killing it. Their products are amazing, and you cannot beat it for price to performance. So yeah, I'm
looking forward to that Ultra Evolution. That's gonna be really cool.
Me too.
You'd hear it at Axpona if you haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. So Axpona for SVS for sure.
By the way, SVS at Axpona is gonna have a room for dual channel listening. So I'm super excited for that because usually they only have a home theater. So I'm gonna be on that 2-channel room as fast as I can. So
I spent a long time watching movies at what was the last show in Florida. I normally don't do that, man. I'm normally doing the hardcore 2-channel stuff, but I kind of sat down. I was a little beat walking on the show, and watching those movies was just incredible. I probably sat through 4 or 5 movie clips, pretty long ones. It was great.
Yeah, they're always killer with the rooms.
Yeah. So
the other big speaker announcement that came out this week was a real tease. Magico's been showing a lot of pictures. They haven't been keeping it much of a secret, but Wilson is going for their 50th anniversary is debuting a Watt puppy, but it's going to be at the Munich show. It's not going to be at Axpona, which I think is interesting. That they're not going to show in North America first; they're going to show in Europe. But a Watt puppy, and for those of you who don't know, the Watt puppy is one of the longest running series that Wilson offered, and the Watt Puppy 8 was the last iteration before it became the Sasha. So Watt Puppy became Sasha. So Sasha 2, Sasha 1, Sasha 2, Sasha DIW, and now Sasha V. But we're getting a new Watt Puppy, which is really interesting. I think it's going to be slotted somewhere probably between the Sabrina and the Sasha. It might. I'm not sure if it's going to be a Yvette replacement. I think that the Yvette is probably overdue for a replacement from Wilson. So it might slot in that price point in that category, maybe in like the upper 20s to lower 30s as far as pricing is concerned. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if it's a true throwback to those earlier days where they did do like the wood veneering versus the resin paneling. I imagine there's still going to be a lot of resin paneling, especially now that the Sabrina X is fully X material and doesn't have MDF hybrid cabinet. So really interested to see what the Wilson Watt Puppy is going to look like. The 9th official Watt Puppy, but when you're in reality, kind of the Sasha is still the continuation of that line, but now getting some sort of a throwback with the 50th anniversary.
No, wait, do you know when it's releasing?
It's going to release and debut at Munich.
All right.
We got to talk to those guys. We got to talk to that guy Taylor, and we got to get Wilson on the HiFI Mafia.
Oh yeah.
So
what's the other Wilson company?
Wilson Benesh.
Yeah, Wilson.
Although they're not affiliated with Wilson at all.
Yeah.
Like Wilson.
Exactly. I when I first started getting into things, I would always become confused because there's Wilson, and then there's Wilson Benesh, and I'm all like, are they?
That's what I had the same thought when I first got into this.
Yeah.
I saw Wilson Benesh and I thought it was like because I used to be really big into fashion, kind of still am. But all the fashion houses have like their premier brand, and they have their kind of like their cheaper line. Yeah. So like Versace has Versus.
Yeah.
So I thought when I first saw Wilson Benesh, I was like, oh, that's cool. Wilson has like a Versus line. You know what I mean? And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh, no.
HiFI Mafia undercover investigation to get to the bottom of that.
So one for you, Ray. Any idea how long the Sopra series will be around for? Will it be replaced soon?
It's a mystery. It's hard to tell what these companies are going to do. The Sopra line, came out in 2015. I think it might have been announced in 2014, debuted in 2015. So it's going to be the 9th year of the Sopra series. Focal just replaced the Aria series, which was even older this year. So, the Aria series was going on 11 years old, and then it got replaced with a seemingly pretty minor update, at least, optically for me. But the Sopra series, is still going strong. I don't know if they would look to do it this year. Maybe they'll do it next year for the 10th anniversary of the Sopra. But it's been such a long stander. I think it's one of their best sellers, if not their best seller. So the Sopra for now, I think is pretty safe, especially today, given the used prices. If you're going to go for the used one, I can't imagine it dropping much lower even after a new series is announced.
Yeah, I have to say those Evos are pretty darn nice. I forget do you remember the full model name of them?
The Evo X.
Yeah, the Evo X. But for $5,000 a pair, man, those they sounded so good.
I like those rock speakers I had at the show last time. The
Acoras.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking for. I'm hoping that Acora is also going to bring their VRC, the new one. They're like not the new VRC, but the VRC with the alternative colors.
Yeah,
not Acora. The Focal outdoor speakers.
Okay, I see the outdoor integration. Yeah, they look like a rock.
Yeah,
those things could rock. Literally rock. I mean, I guess it's a joke.
I wonder if we should have put Acora and Estelon in the same room and let them fight out a materials battle.
Yeah, natural stone versus composite stone.
That's right. But Acora has astoundingly good bass response. Just every time I've heard them, I'm always like, man, they're doing pretty good. They're getting a lot of performance out of there.
I agree. And people say like the materials they use, which is stone, is horrible for sound, but they always sound amazing. Every time me and Ray walk into a room, we're like, yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
You know,
It's all.
one thing you learn over the years, it's like there's many different ways to roam in this business.
Yeah, you can roll any way you want to. Okay, here's another news piece, and we mentioned this brand before. Classe. So they have announced their Delta Preamp Mark II at $12,000, right? And Classe is nice, but are they $12,000 nice for a preamp?
These days, $12,000 doesn't buy you what $12,000 did 5 years ago.
That's true.
Yeah,
I know, but still, I just
they had those big power amps last time. I think 2 years ago at Axpona with Bowers and Wilkins, and they sounded really good. But
that stuff was never cheap. I mean, it
was never cheap.
It may not have been super high end, but it was never cheap.
Yeah, I think the newer Class A stuff is that still. I want to say that some of the newer Class A stuff is designed in Britain or whatever, but then made in China or made overseas somewhere. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I will say that as far as the aesthetic for the brand goes, just the look, I really like the way Class A gear looks. I think it looks amazing, and I agree with Dan. When I've heard it, I've never had a piece of Class A gear in my home.
I did.
I've never had a piece ever. But when I've heard it at shows, I've always thought it was good.
But the thing about Class A also is that you're looking at a piece of Class A gear. They have their unique look, and a lot of companies you wouldn't be able to guess what it is unless you saw the logo, but not Class A. You can tell their gear.
They got the view meters on there too.
Yep,
real view meters, not
real
view
ones.
Meters. I really like the analog stuff, man. I think
people say with view meters that the view meters is that if you by the time that you see that something's overloaded, your system is kind of exploded already.
Yeah.
But
wait, do you guys think
cool.
the view meters add distortion to the sound? Like, because it has to go through the view meters.
No, they won't send it through the view meters as a path.
They'll split it. Yeah.
They split it.
Look, you got crazy. I mean, look, I'm a crazy audiophile, so I'm not kind of begrudging anybody. But you got people who say like, little LED lights, they can hear the difference, and on the front of the chassis. I don't think you're going to hear the difference of a VU meter being on a component or not.
What if you buy like a cheap one from Amazon? That probably, I don't know.
That'll probably just add distortion because the power supply for the thing is probably pumping distortion into your circuit.
We have a question.
Here's a question. I have no idea what the answer to this is. I don't keep up with audio research.
Aquara bought audio research, right?
Yeah, they bought audio research, and we have to get Val in. Val is the head now of audio research. Val Aquara.
I love that dude.
Val Cora, rather. He's the head of Aquara Acoustics and Audio Research. So we got to get him as well on here.
It'd be nice to have him on.
He's fun. He always blasts for me. At the show, he blasted so hard, like the surrounds were kind of bending of how loud the speakers were playing. And I never heard anything that loud in my whole life. Those speakers were shaking everything. I'm like, holy shit, dude.
I thought the sound was interesting because I think he was like exploding a few heads because he had the what was the gear that he had there with those big speakers in Florida? I forget now.
It's typically back. But I guess it's also maybe it's the pendulum swinging back to audio research since they're combined. They're not combined, but related.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And people couldn't handle it, I found, because it wasn't like when you get a VAC and a chord together, you're not going to hear the most transparent. You're not going to hear the speed that you're just that you're going to get with like Solution or something like that. But that wasn't what this system was about. The Aquara speakers can do that if they have certain electronics, but this was about musicality. And it was just so sweet sounding and so beautiful sounding. And I just sat there for like 15 minutes and I just couldn't believe how nice it sounded. Was all the detail there that you would get like, in my system? No, what I mean? Was the sound staging, but it was just so musical. It was so beautiful that it was really, I thought, a great accomplishment.
Yeah, freaking Howard, man. By the way, there's a question. What deck would you recommend for under $7,000? No streamer. I would go Pass Labs. Any Pass Lab stuff.
Did they make something under 7K in the DAC section?
Let me check. I don't know. I don't really look at that price range. It's either too expensive or too cheap. There's never in the,
Yeah. I mean,
$7,000 is a hard place to be at, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would take a look at NAD, so maybe their M series or something like that. Would probably
They feature a streamer though.
Yeah, if you're looking for a pure DAC without a streamer in it, probably like Weiss Engineering, Denifrips.
There's the Rose stuff, but I don't know why no streamer. Why
Rose
don't
has
you want a
streamer
streamer in it?
Yeah, it's all streamer.
Because they want to run their streamer through a DAC. Okay, I'm going to keep it real. Get a topping and listen to it, and then compare it to any of the other DACs you get and see if you can hear a difference. And if you can't, then stick with the topping. If you can hear a difference, then go with whatever else it is.
Get a Shelly.
I'll keep it real, and I'll say if you can't hear the difference, get a new hobby.
Damn.
Man, topping is the tops. I mean, that stuff is absolutely outstanding.
I have it right on my desk here, but
it's amazing.
Like a really good DAC, that's a different type of class of a component.
I don't think there's that big of a difference myself. I've listened to all of them, and I don't know.
There's some really high end DACs too that have disappointed me. So prices and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I had the esoteric mono DACs in, so each one is basically you need two of them, for stereo, and the difference was just incredible. I mean,
Howard is in another level, bro.
Howard's all like,
playing with $1,000. Howard's like, here's my $50,000 DAC.
What's interesting with those DACs, with those mono DACs, they were connected by HDMI cables. That's how they connect.
That's another level, though. That's like, I'm
surprised that there hasn't been a wider adoption of like HDMI in the high end audio space. Like everyone's still on like USB 2 cables, and it's just like, come on, can we move past USB 2.0 and get to something that's more high bandwidth? Like HDMI.
I can agree with that. I think HDMI would actually make a difference.
If I could just share something. So talking about like crazy. So I got this email from last week from Sinus Faber saying, hey, you want to come to Italy and check out the launch of our $750,000 Suprema speaker for Tech Radar, which I do some writing. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to Italy. This is great. But as it turns out, somebody across the pond, Tech Radar is owned by Future, this company called Future, and they're sending somebody from the UK publication. So I started hunting around through my friends in the industry, and I'm waiting to hear back from one of the big magazines. So I might be going over there in 2 weeks over to Italy. That'll be right before Axpona.
That'd be super fun.
But if it works out, it'll be cool. So that'd be
super fun. Gosh, the only other news that I have to mention that I can see is one of my favorite companies from a design perspective, Bang & Olufsen, released a new standalone streamer, little unit. I think it's $1,500, but it is they say that is designed to work only with B&O speakers.
That's what I don't like about the Violet and B&O.
Yeah, they lock you in.
Bushes.
Yeah.
To be honest,
man, it's beautiful gear though. Oh, it is.
It's made for looking good, not for sounding good. Even the BO Labs, they like when you compare them price range to a HiFi system, it's like $150,000 and $115,000 HiFi system. The resolution is not there. Like you get all the technology of like the microphones and a bunch of like 15 woofers per speaker, but the resolution is not there.
But you got to think that someone who's buying that is typically going to be, your Silicon Valley, multimillionaire, or someone that's trying to find something to add to their, $15 million Palo Alto mansion.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily that they're a huge audiophile. They might just be looking for something.
True, but our audience is audiophile, so just letting them know. It's like if you have the money and you want to plug and play $115,000 speaker, go with B&O. Like they do everything. They will scan your room. They'll like fix everything. Where's the fun in that? You know, I like to plug in a deck, amplifier, a streamer. I like to plug in all the cables and have fun with that. That's my jam. You know, that's why I love HiFi so much.
The thing with B&O is that they do a lot of OEM work, so they make a lot of parts for a lot of the gear that people use. So their knowledge base and their technical expertise is extremely deep.
For
but
sure.
They're just focused on one particular type of product that is inexpensive kind of lifestyle product that looks really great. But certainly, as from a technological perspective, they're not a company to be sneezed at. They know what they're doing.
No, for sure. For sure.
I was just looking really quick. I would take a look on the DAX. I would take a look at maybe Cord, if someone's interested in the DAC. That's a possibility. And the other one was what is it? Weiss was another one I'm looking at. That was a good possibility. And what was the other one? Yeah, maybe those are two that someone could take a look at. There's a lot of brands out there, but
Wait, good question, Howard. What amplifiers do you run in your speakers? Do you go with tubes or Class AB, Class A?
I have a lot of different systems. But in my reference system, I'm about to switch over. I've always used an esoteric component in my reference system. In recent times, and I was using the A005, which is was a 50-watt Class A, and then the company moved most recently to the S1 and the S1 rather, which I have, which is a Class AB. And now the surprising news out of esoteric is that for the S1X, they moved back to pure Class A, 50 watts. I think it's 50 watts. So, but I don't use tubes too much in my main system. I do use, I have a Synergistic Research tube power supply with 1942 mercury tubes that light up blue. It's the most badass thing that you've ever. 1942 new old stock tubes, mercury filament tubes. They're really, really cool. And all they do is they power the cables, because the cables are active, so that they're actually powering the cables. They're not in the sound. They're not in the signal path, and they make a big difference. And they kind of add this like tube kind of goodness to the sound. And it's a really badass component.
Awesome.
We have a question from Tommy. Again, he heard the Borresen X6s at Southwest Audio Fest in Dallas. What do you think about that sound for 23K?
Buy it. The X6s are amazing.
Killing it.
Borresen is killing it.
Yeah, I haven't heard the X6, but I've heard the X3. That's a really good speaker. That X series is. I'm really surprised because I feel like the Z series from Borresen, which was originally like their less expensive line, I think it was like a third of the price of the 0 series, kind of fell as a kind of a dud. I don't think it offered a really great price performance. And then Borresen must have went back to the drawing board and just said, we can fix this. And they're still selling the Z series. I haven't heard a lot of the Z series, but with the X series, I mean, they really took it to task to make a really affordable high performance line. And that whole X series is just kind of dominating every price point that it.
The tweeter, it's amazing. The texture,
and that's the amazing part to me, is that the X series is the same tweeter as the 0 and the M series, and that tweeter is just unbelievable. It's crazy that they are able to take that tweeter and have it through all the lines, because it's one of the best in the industry.
The best I've heard. Yeah,
they are redefining what is possible. I mean, they're one of the leaders right now. Really, just unbelievable. The thing you got to get your mind wrapped around is that once you go, at that price point, that's just a no-brainer. That's one of the top brands I recommend at the lower $20,000-$30,000 kind of system. Even lower than just the speakers, unbelievable. Now, when you get up to the upper levels, the sound is just amazing. But their theory is they give you just what you need, so you're not going to walk in there $280,000 speakers. They're not these huge speakers. They're these small speakers. And you kind of look at it and you're like, what? But then you hear them and you're like, holy crap, So you got to kind of wrap your brain around, financially has to kind of, or logically has to wrap your brain around the fact that these $300,000 speakers don't look like a pair of $300,000 speakers from the outside, but the performance is there. But certainly at the lower price points, man, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We heard the M3s, and they're using a bunch of crazy technology, man. Like titanium 3D printed speaker baskets, the crazy tweeter. And when the bass dropped, I thought there were subwoofers in the room. Like, you don't even need subwoofers with the M3, but that's a $280,000 pair of speakers. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to have the M6 at Axpona this year.
I hope.
So that's the $550,000 version, and that's probably going to be like a grand slam.
That'll explode some heads as well.
Yeah.
I'll add my vote in for Borresen. Their stuff. I've not heard a Borresen speaker that I didn't like. They're universally really good to me. Is it going to be $23,000 of value for Tommy? Who knows, right? But they are really good speakers.
Yeah, they had the zeros at the show, like the crazy $50,000 pair of bookshelves, and they're amazing. They're never harsh. The tone of them is amazing. I just think Borresen is a great option, to be honest. I'll take Borresen any day over Magico.
They're
gonna come at me.
We got the Magico folks are gonna be like, "I'm gonna come at you."
Borresen is killing it.
They were throwing some shade last year. They're not afraid to come out and say who they think sounds bad. So
So I don't care.
They were throwing definitely some shade at a certain manufacturer that uses aluminum cabinets last year. They were not afraid to say that it sounds bad to them.
They even came from my boy Ray for saying wrong.
Like they were not afraid to say a certain manufacturer with aluminum cabinets sounds bad. And it was like WWE, you know what I mean? Like they got there and were like, they are no good. And it was like, Borresen from the top ropes.
Yeah.
Remember when you said something like 2 years ago and they like never forgot about it? And then when
I remember that.
That was Magico. Magico came up to me and was like, they're like, yeah, we've seen some information we disagree, some information we would disagree with on your page. I was like,
me and Giles were looking at each other like, damn.
I literally that night I poured through every post I've ever posted with Magico in it, and I went over everything to see what I could have gotten wrong. And I realized it was a post from like late 2020, and it wasn't even a fact about the speaker. It was just an opinion about a dealer relationship with Magico, and I think that could have been the only one that I said something that was possibly false. And back in those early days I was a little bit more edgy than I am now.
All right, hey, I've got a topic of conversation that I need help with, and since I've got you guys here and then everybody listening, I need to understand if I am getting my nomenclature incorrect, or if I just don't understand the specific meaning of some of these terms, right? So when you design a speaker, the speaker can be designed typically in one of three ways, right? So it's going to be like a sealed box enclosure, right? So there's no bass reflex stuff. There's no port. There's no
passive radiator.
So, but when you move away from sealed and then you move into these other designs, which are ported, and it can be slot ported or two ported, whatever, or passive radiator, I've always lumped those two technologies together, ported and passive radiator, and used the term bass reflex to refer to both ported and passive radiator. I was told that is incorrect, and that a passive radiator is a sealed design, which that doesn't seem correct to me at all, because when people say sealed, that it's more than just air doesn't come in and out, because they're like, oh, passive radiator, air doesn't move in and out of the box, right? I'm like, well, no, but sealed means that you're not using some other technology to reinforce the low end. So what is the right thing? Am I just wrong?
No, I think you're right.
No, you're right. It is bass reflex, even if it is a passive radiator. The differentiation on the sealed portion is how the driver uses the air inside the cabinet. So the passive radiator side is just pushing that air to move a physical piece in
the back pressure is moving the passive
radiator.
radiator.
Yeah, it's moving the passive radiator.
Yeah,
so
I understand how it works. For me, I would say passive radiator and ported are both base reflex designs.
They are.
This other point of view is that sealed and passive radiators designs are both sealed designs. I would never refer to a passive radiator design as a sealed design.
Well, the big differentiation there, like the big question on the sealed side, is it truly a sealed design or a air suspension design, or is it just sealed? You know what I mean? Like you can take a ported so you can take a ported speaker, right? Like some of the ported speakers come with those foam bungs that you can push into the and people, will push, your foam bung into the hole and say, now it's a sealed speaker. Well, that's kind of like sticking a feather in your hat and calling it macaroni. You know what I mean? So that's, even though it is technically now sealed, the point of the sealed speaker is to use the internal air as an acoustic suspension, and the differentiation on that is how you design the driver to interact with the air inside the cabinet. So I might get this wrong, or just backwards. But typically in a sealed design, you would have a low Q factor, high compliance on your driver design. And then the opposite would be true if you were going to do a ported or passive radiator design. Yeah. And that's just all about how the suspension interacts with the driver itself.
Is it like a 0.7 Q, like the holy grail number for acoustic suspension?
Is it what?
Is it the Q of, what is it, 0.7 is a very, very desired Q number?
I believe it's low. It's the low. You want it very low in acoustic suspension because you want the air to do the hard work. Like the suspension itself shouldn't be pulling hard on the cone to bring it back to neutral, because the air inside the cabinet should be doing that.
Yep.
Bear in mind, a ported design is just that. It's just a port. It's a hole in the cabinet. But a passive radiator has a driver in there. There's no voice coil. It's not generating its own sound, but actively. But there's that's some of the difference.
Yeah. So the way that I always think of it is, if you have a design that's somehow relying on the back pressure from a driver to interact with something, whether it's the air column inside of a port, right? Because that's what happens. It resonates, right? And that's how the passive radiator works as well. It takes that back pressure and then resonates that. Obviously there are design distinctions there in how you set this stuff up, because there's obviously a difference when you have a physical hole, with a port on it. But I've always lumped those two together as base reflex designs. And I think that's where, I think maybe it was an argument of semantics almost. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, but no, thanks for giving me a little vindication. I feel a little bit better about my knowledge, because I was all like, oh, what did I? Am I just wrong? I've been wrong for years.
Ray knows everything, bruh.
Every
question I have, I'm like, Ray, I have a question. He's like, here we go again.
Well, Daniel asked me, he'd be like, hey, I can't find this song on Shazam. Can you help me? And I'll listen to it, and I'll come back to him 5 seconds later.
He knows everything. It's crazy. And I was watching a series, it's called Dr. House, and then there was a ribbon tweeter speaker design in the background. I'm like, Ray, what's this? Literally 10 seconds later, boom, here it is. I'm like, what the heck? How did you find it? It's like he found it in a used website somewhere. And it's like, this is it. I'm like, dang, that's impressive.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, folks. I think we are at the top of the hour already, if you can believe it.
Yeah, we went through a lot of news
today.
Yeah.
I like it when it's all us four.
Yeah.
It goes way smoother.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going, interesting stuff. We did a lot.
Maybe we go around and do a round robin for closing thoughts from everybody. And you can call out if you got anything coming up or things to look for. Dan, you want to start us?
So I have a lot of stuff coming in my page. HiFI, Jasheli Labs, SVS soon. So I'm excited for that. It's super cool to be working with these companies. I'm super blessed to be blessed. I suck at saying this word, but I'm super blessed to be where I am today. I worked really hard for it, and it shows. And yeah, it's all thanks to you guys that watch me and watch everyone here. But yeah, that's it coming from my channel, and I'll pass it over to Howard.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
got a lot of gear in here, a lot of stuff in the queue. We got the solid steel rack that I waited 20 weeks for in white and special order, and I just got in some Earman stuff, DAC and amp and power supply, and we have Apos audio tubes and some incredible let the cat out of the bag. Some really incredible digital. Now Giles may take a little bit of issue here, but some really incredible digital cables from Stealth Audio that I'm really excited about. And other than that, we're just we're growing the Facebook group, the Listening Chair with Howard Naylor. We got some great stuff planned. Like I said, we got a VPI phono stage we'll be giving away soon. And hopefully in 2 weeks' time, I'll be in the Macintosh Sonus Faber factory in Italy, but I'm not sure about that, so we'll see.
Cool. But real quick, just because we don't agree with each other doesn't mean we're not friends. So that's why we're here. Giles sometimes doesn't believe on something. Sometimes I do believe on something, and that's what makes us friends. We sometimes talk to each other, we disagree, and we fix things. Not because we disagree on something, I'm not gonna be his friend.
Well, we're friends, and when we got the HiFI Mafia together, after we all met up at Axpona one year, I sent Daniel the Reunited song YouTube video.
That was the thing.
Good feeling. So definitely, this is all good discussion topics.
I don't know if that was my favorite song.
It's so good. Ray, what you got?
It's got I got my Kimber cables in. I should have brought them onto here.
Oh yeah.
So,
did you hear a difference? No,
I actually haven't plugged them in yet because I want to do one video. I feel like it's going to go over a lot of people's heads because just a lot of audiophiles don't play video games. But I'm going to do a video game reference with my Kimber cables. But there's also something that I'm going to do with the Kimber cables, which is the whole reason of me getting them, and that's going to be. I think hopefully that's going to break the internet. So we'll find out. The last time I thought I was going to break the internet is when I did the video that of me getting fake robbed, where I robbed myself. Did you guys see that video?
Yep, I did.
And
I like stuff like that.
I thought it was good. I thought it was going to get go crazy. It didn't go that crazy. And then I got a lot of comments of people being like, "This guy's a liar. He didn't actually get robbed." And I'm like. Is comedy dead? Is comedy dead?
For a lot of people, comedy is dead.
Well, don't worry, Ray. My video of me plugging in cables got 1 million views.
That's crazy. I was that to me is like something where how people say there'll be a meme PhD in the future, things of that nature.
Yeah,
that to me is you could take that video and then just do a deep dive analysis and be like, why did this video blow up on the algorithm?
Probably.
Let's
figuring that out.
Yeah, let's do a Harvard deep dive, Harvard master's level research class on why that blew up.
We should.
It has nothing.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So I got an OnlyFans coming, and people are going to actually pay money for me to keep my clothes on. And if people are not paying enough money,
they start coming off, and we're like, no.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to make a lot of money with that.
Oh gosh! What you have to do is have a piece of malware that gets installed on their computer first that takes away the close button on their browser window. And if they pay a lot of money, then they can get the close button back.
That's genius. And on that
note, all right. Let's see.
Wait, Ray's done with this?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm sorry,
I'm
I cut
good.
him off.
All right.
Yeah, Giles, all you.
Okay. So let's see. I did a unboxing for the new, and I should put this in news. I'm so bad. The Atlantic Technology 8600i series is out now, so this is a refresh of their older towers, and they just hit the web page I think yesterday or something like that. So I've got those unboxed and installed and ready for listening. I'm going to plug wires in. I should film that and put it up. I was going to say, I don't think it's the cables. I think it was your hands. People are like, look at those hands.
My anxiety chewed up fingers. Probably.
That's right. think a million people have looked at your hand.
That's true, bro. That's creepy, man.
It is creepy. Yeah, it is creepy. I'll be working on that.
Think about that, bro?
I've got I still have to unbox and get started on the KEF KUBE Cube 15 subwoofer. So those are coming up soon, and I'm putting the finishing touches on my TCL TV review, and I've got the parts in. I've talked about this a lot to start upgrading my first gen Storm audio processor. Talking about how you can get value out of this gear that's upgradable as opposed to continually buying new models to get the new version of HDMI and that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of value there. So that's coming this coming month, August. I'm going to have 2 shows that I'll be at. I'll be at the Northern AV Show in Penang, Malaysia.
August or April?
April. Did I say August?
Yeah.
Thanks for the catch. Yeah. Next month in April. And then we'll all be at Axpona.
So if you see us, say hi.
Come.
We're not shy.
Axpona should have a panel for us. We should do a panel.
Oh, well, let's do that. And just that you mentioned that. So I am on a panel at Axpona. It's on Saturday at 11:45. It's about the making of my room with Jacoby Acoustics and Malaport Designs.
I'm going to be there for that one, Howard. That's going to be so cool because I like both of those guys a lot. Yeah, and you too. It's a great panel.
That'll be a great panel. Look for that on Saturday, 11:45. And if I could just mention hot this for one more second, I totally forgot. We're dropping VPI unboxing for the Prime turntable, and I think it's either the Goldie or the Shiloh cartridge. Colin Saunders from the Listening Chair is doing that review, so I have that in the queue, waiting to just release that when I can get to it. So that's coming up.
That's super cool. Yeah. If you know who does panels who sets those up and plans them, send them a note and be like, "Hey, we should have a HiFi Mafia panel at Axpona."
Well, Bill Liebens,
I'll be shy.
You guys may know, Bill Liebens did a really great job this year. If you look at the presentations for Axpona, every one of them is really dynamite. So there's really a lot of good ones. And I think maybe we should speak to the Gary over at Capital Audio Fest and see if I'm willing to take that responsibility. And maybe they want the HiFi Mafia to do something for Capital Audio Fest. Are you guys going to be there?
If we could be on a panel, then I might make it out there. Otherwise, I don't know that I'll make it to that show. But if there's a panel for us, I would try and get out there at least for the day just to do that.
Ray, you gonna be out there?
It might get me over my fear of being in DC around the election.
What about you, Dan?
Financially, I can't, man. Not now.
Okay.
Maybe next year. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Maybe next year at Axpona then.
For sure.
Maybe this year at Axpona. Everybody that's watching, all of you, send notes to customer service at Axpona.com or whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
Send notes to Bill Lieben at Axpona.com.
And demand HiFi Mafia at Axpona. That'd be awesome. That actually would be really, really fun. Really fun. We do have
the people.
We have one comment from Facebook user who's, I don't know who it is. Hey guys, hit me up at Axpona.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're commenting on Facebook, we can't see who you are, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let us know who you are, and we will totally hit you up.
Is Howard the Godfather?
The Godfather. That's right.
Roll Camper. There you go. So,
what a name.
We probably should do, if the next show that we get together, one soon, we should probably do a HiFi Mafia kind of happy hour type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, someone said, "Lo, it's me, Shannon McKellar."
I don't know Shannon.
Oh, hey Shannon. Shannon is one of the moderators in the Facebook group, the Listening Chair with Howard Miller. So.
Oh, perfect.
Nice to meet you, Shannon McKellar.
And Shannon is an audio reviewer also. So
nice. Cool. Let's go.
All right, Dan, I think it's time for you to close us out since you're driving the bus this time.
Let's go. Driving it off a cliff, but thanks everyone for watching. We had a fun time. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate Giles, Ray, and Howard. You guys are the best. Thanks everyone for watching. We're always here on Sundays now. I hope every Sunday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, and then 4 p.m.
Eastern.
And you guys can do the Google search for the rest. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I
Yeah,
don't know
so
if I'm passing it to
Some
somebody
days,
else.
some days we're gonna have guests, like we just had Estelan.
Yep.
And some days it's gonna be us going through the week's news.
Yeah,
So,
our next guest will be Boulder on the 21st of April. Boulder
There you go.
amplifiers.
that's our next guest, not our next live stream, which will be next Sunday.
Yes,
Yeah.
that'll be our next guest.
And for me, Boulder is one of my favorite companies. I love their gear, and I've always secretly wanted to create a all Colorado system. So it would be Boulder amplifiers, and then what's the aluminum YG acoustics?
Oh,
Right, yep. And then you could do some PS audio stuff in there, right? So
I love my YGs, man. They rock and roll. So
yeah, YG, it was really good stuff. You know what I really want from YG, and I'm sorry I'm carrying us long, but YG makes that aluminum double 21 subwoofer that's got
the Invincible.
that's the name?
Yeah, it's called the Invincible.
It's so cool. I mean, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life. And I saw it when I saw them actually building one at their factory a number of years ago. Super cool.
You open the dictionary and look under badass, and that's basically what you see.
Oh, that thing gets my heart going. I just flutter. I get all fangirl. It's like, hey, look at that.
He's blushing.
I am, man. I want your 21s.
He's blushing on his forehead. Just kidding.
I get sweaty when I listen to it. I have to have a big towel and just do my whole thing.
All right, guys. Catch me on OnlyFans, and we'll see you guys.
Power dressing. That's the name.
next one.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care, guys.